Ladies and gentlemen, here we are. It is the grand finals of the arena tournament hosted by Corvinus. We will have Beasty and MarineLord climbing their way back from the lower bracket into the grand finals, facing off against LoueMT and CSO. It is going to be Ottomans and Abbasids against the Malians and the Mongols right away. And we've seen a lot of success in the previous round, the lower bracket finals from Beasty and MarineLord, using the Mongols. Using that Coral type buff that the Khan provides beyond Castle Age has been very effective against Wham and Puppy Paw. And now they also have the Malians available. First round, looks like we will have a Meteor out there. Not a heavy commitment to units, just full spears over here from LoueMT and LoueMetal. Now, you gotta be cautious over here. You see one of those Keshik have been staggered, and it looks like the second one is also going to get taken down, or at least damaged very heavily. You do have the Meteor over here, so there's a lot of buffs that you can unlock for these troops, and you see the Spearmen will just close distance, not allowing the Donso to throw their javelins. A single archer is still nearby. There's a Khan as well. Keshik trying to focus down the Meteor. This is definitely one of the more delicate fights here in the first round. Last Keshik will be taken down. Numbers advantage now on the side of LoueMT and LoueMetal. Donsos can throw their javelins to try and kill that Meteor, and that's exactly what they are trying to do. Last archer dancing around over here, but it's at low HP. Khan will try to pick off the Meteor, but it's only the Khan that remains. And that should be a round falling into the hands of LoueMT and LoueMetal. Now, I've listened to Beasty's stream while they were preparing for this match, or not this match specifically, but the losers bracket finals. And they've been watching how Wham and Puppy played against LoueMT and CSO. And they have pretty much agreed on the fact that LoueMT and CSO are playing some crazy unorthodox strategies compared to the standards of this game mode. So it's actually pretty difficult to read what exactly LoueMT and CSO have on their mind in terms of strategy. And that's going to be one of the interesting elements of this set. How well can MarineLord and Beasty read what LoueMT and CSO want to go for? Like, for instance, this composition, this is not something that we've seen before. Second round Mangonel, supported by Janissaries. That's a very awkward composition, but you do have the Meteor to buff your Janissaries. You will have a couple of Gulam to shield these guys. Question is, what can that Mangonel do? Beast and MarineLord have shown that they can easily dodge Mangonel shots, and they do have a lot of cavalry. Now, here's the problem. That cavalry is going to get evaporated by these Janissaries. So you gotta be very cautious over here. Mangonel shot, first one to connect. Janissary is getting some good volleys on the Keshik. Now, Keshik have been pulled back. Beautiful shots by MarineLord to deal with some of the Janissaries. The Meteor goes down. Jen is trying to focus down the cavalry, but the numbers just seem too overwhelming. And this should be a round for Beasty and MarineLord. Janissaries have been dealt with, and once the Janissaries are gone, the Keshik can engage. Janis do a great job dealing with most of the Keshik, though, but still, numbers look just overwhelming at this point. And once the Mangonel is gone, I feel like there's just no way to win this round for LoueMT and CSO. They still have a couple of Gulams, but they will never deal with this one Khan. Worst case scenario right now for MarineLord and Beasty is this Khan dancing around until all the Gulam are dead. I feel like the Mangonel, while it was a decent idea, I think you probably would have benefited more from going more Gulam. Just straight up full Gulam. And just flood the enemy archers with those Gulam, because the Mangonel really didn't do much. I feel like in these micro battles, especially at the highest level, a single Mangonel can be dodged. If you have 3 or 4 of those, they are a threat. But a single Mangonel is just not a game changer, or not enough of a game changer in these battles. LoueMT now going for a combination of Sipahi and Spears. This forces him to grab both upgrades, which means that he cannot field that many units. On the other side, MarineLord is grabbing the Spearman upgrade, and now he's going Men-at-Arms himself, and it is going to be Musafari Warriors by Beasty. He loves this unit, and in the good hands, it's a perfect unit. It also has the Vision Concealment. You see, they can just kind of stealth away, and if the opponent doesn't have a scout, it's going to be difficult to spot them. They can surprise enemy siege, they can get some good surrounds. It's also the numbers game. You see, they've just entered stealth mode, and you see Beasty is having the split before they attack. Beautiful use of the Musafari Warriors. They are a hard counter to the Gulam. They will deal well with the Men-at-Arms as well. They do have good speed, so they can get good surrounds as well. A couple of Imams helping from the back line as well. This is a cleanup for Beasty and MarineLord. And for the first time, yeah, I think first time in this series, they will be leading against LoueMT and CSO. I actually started to doubt myself. I don't know who had the first round secured, but anyway, dominant win over here for Beasty and MarineLord off the back of those Musafati warriors. So, one of the things that we've commonly seen is just full infantry compositions, like, let's say, HRD men-at-arms supported by Musafati warriors, and it worked very well. Now, MarineLord and Beasty, they are changing things up, and I love this. They aren't sticking with this composition. They are making themselves hard to read and hard to counter. Beasty's gonna go Poison Arrow Archers, which is low-key one of the best units that you can go for in this game mode. On the other side, looks like CSO and LoueMT will just forfeit this round for technology. And I think... I don't know how to feel about this. It's one thing that obviously MarineLord and Beasty are investing into some units over here, so this investment isn't going to pay off for Beasty and MarineLord. But it's not like Beasty and MarineLord will be so much behind in terms of technology. I feel like, especially because Louis went for a lot of those siege techs like Mangonels, unless those Mangonels really come in clutch, this tech advantage that they have isn't going to amount to much. Now, they've beaten MarineLord and Beasty to Imperial, you see. So, this is a round that they must secure. This is a round that they have the tech advantage, and they need to build on that. 35 archers with composite bows and the elite upgrade for CSO. And it's going to be full Sipahi by LoueMT. Musafati warriors only from Beasty, supported by men-at-arms. Or, yeah, it's men-at-arms for Beasty. How do I feel about this? I feel that Musafati warriors will get shredded by the archers, but it depends on when you reveal them. If you can conceal them and get a good surround, you could get good value out of them. That's exactly what we're seeing. Khan gets picked off instantly. That's a big loss for Beasty's team, but there is no direct counter to the men-at-arms coming in from the Mongol player. These are elite archers, but the numbers are looking so much better for Team Beasty. They are getting some good hits going with the Spearman as well. Sipahi disappearing quickly. Metter still out there getting the melee defense upgrade or melee defense buff in. Musafati warriors have been dealt with, but the men-at-arms are still intact, and there's just nothing that deals with them. Even these Imperial Age archers, they won't be good enough, especially when they're surrounded like this. Only 6 of them remain, and the rest of the Sipahis will likely be dealt with as well. This is such a close battle over here. You see both sides taking heavy casualties. I'm not even certain if Beasty's team will secure this. Now I am. But you see how close this battle was. And this was a must-win for LoueMT and CSO. They were supposed to have the tech advantage, but they just fell to sheer numbers. Partly because they didn't have a direct answer to the men-at-arms coming from MarineLord. Now it's Imperial Age for MarineLord and Beasty as well. They do have map point over here. If they win this, they will have the first match secured in this best of 3. And it's going to be probably, again, Sipahis for LoueMT and archers once again for CSO. This time around, he's going to have flaming arrows as well. Beasty, I think, just like MarineLord, they will step back from this round, grab all the techs. Siege coming in for MarineLord. Beasty is going heavy on this cavalry department. Elite sofas, imported armor. He's going to have the elite army tactics for the infantry as well. They are in a good position to do this tech throw. They just forfeit this round and say, look, we don't mind you getting a second point on the board, because for the round that's coming up, we will have the advantage. We will have the tech advantage, and all we need is 1 point. Cleanup is there. And going into round number 7, MarineLord and Beasty should have a massive tech lead. It's going to be some sofas from Beasty, Spearman from MarineLord. For the last couple of rounds, we've seen archers plus Sipahi from LoueMT and CSO, so sofas could work, but it looks like it's going to be full Musafati warriors for Beasty. It's going to be archers on the other side from CSO, mixing in a couple of crossbows as well. Sipahi will be the unit of choice for LoueMT. He still has a lot of currency to spend, and he's going to spend it on a single Reboldoquin. I don't know about that. I feel like a single Reboldoquin isn't a big game changer, but it's expensive. On the other side, though, it's a full melee composition from Beasty and MarineLord, so if you can shield that Reboldoquin, it is going to be a threat to this army. Musafati Warriors entering stealth mode though. It's a great tool to deal with this Reboldaquin, and this is why that stealth mode is coming in so clutch. You see, Musafati Warriors will try to jump the Reboldaquin. Beautiful move to move it to the middle of the formation. First volley comes out from it, does a lot of damage. Sipahi standing their ground though, but they're being overwhelmed by the Spearman. And that Reboldaquin, units are getting very close to it. Still firing away, but the Kurotai buff is healing up the troops here from Beasty and MarineLord. The meat shield is disappearing, but the Reboldaquin still stands strong. They need to get rid of that ASAP, otherwise it's going to decimate this army. Finally, the Reboldaquin goes down, so are the archers. And with that, Beasty and MarineLord will secure the first match over here in this best of 3. You felt a dominant lead throughout the entire match here for Beasty and MarineLord. And I feel like they really have gotten a good composition going. Those Musafati Warriors, they've always been able to outflank the enemy. They've always been able to provide a lot of surround. They've been able to deal with the heavy units that were occasionally used by LoueMT and CSO. And then that Khan buff that came in for MarineLord, the Kurotai buff, the buff arrow that you get from the Khan as well, those factors just came in so useful. And the other thing is delicate pieces of micro. At least 2 of these rounds have been very tight, and it came down to Beast and MarineLord having a slightly better micro than the other side. Those details, LoueMT and CSO will have to polish for game number 2 over here, but we will be back with game number 2 very soon. Teams will redraft, but they will have the option to pick the same civilizations, as long as the opposing team isn't going to ban them. We will be back with game number 2 in a matter of moments. Welcome to game number 2. Here we are. First of all, why are 3 boars displayed on the minimap? I have no idea. But this is match point for Beasty and MarineLord in this best of 3. They have the lead 1-0 from the previous game that we've just witnessed. And this time around, they will be here with the Mongols and the Abbasids. So once again, that Mongol Kurotai Khan buff is going to be there. And the Abbasids also in the hands of MarineLord. Other side, not a combination that we commonly see, Delhi and the Malians. It's going to be Javelin Throwers in the first round, supported by some Spears. This is a composition that should dominate what MarineLord and Beasty have, who both opted to go for just Cavalry. There's also a Villager, but no one cares about him. Javelin Throwers will have to get rid of the Villager first, actually, or the Khan. Those are the biggest threats to the Cavalry. You also gotta be cautious here. That's a lot of cavalry, but the Keshik have been dealt with. Horsemen now getting focused down as well. LoueMT and CSO will likely be the team that puts the first point on the board. But I'm not surprised about this. There's probably a conscious effort from Beast and MarineLord to rush Castle Age over here. Indeed, that was the plan. We've seen them do this over and over again in the previous sets, so I'm not shocked to see them quote-unquote undercommit for round number 1. This has been the game plan for some time, I guess. Anyway, we will have CSO coming in here with the... is that the Musafati... Yeah, the Musafati Warrior healing tech. I think that was just a misclick. He probably wanted the veterancy on them. Anyway, it's going to be Musafati Warriors and Archers. I don't know about this composition. I think it can work, especially against what Beast and MarineLord have, which is Spear and Archer. But I feel like when you play Musafati Warriors, you want to support them with melee units. Just make a melee flood. If you disconnect the Musafati Warriors from your Archers, they can get picked off very easily. Now, Spears, they will actually do fairly well against the Musafati Warriors. Not amazing, but it's still better than what Men-at-Arms would do, frankly. Still, though, this should be an advantage here for LoueMT and CSO. Indeed, Archers are taking down the Spears. Only a handful of Archers remain here for MarineLord, which are getting pushed back. And it is going to be a cleanup in all certainty. Musafati Warriors still alive. Second point will be secured as well by LoueMT and CSO. So this is an interesting round. You look at the Musafati Warriors, and it's not something that was like a hard counter type of a unit that dealt with the army of MarineLord and Beasty well. It's more like sheer numbers. And frankly, they were the meat shield in this game. They are a low HP unit, but you have so many of them that they can tank up a lot of arrow fire. They also provide a good front line to those archers against the spears, and then the archers just dealt with whatever was left. This time around, MarineLord and Beasty will play archers and crossbows, anticipating some heavy units from the other side. Now, they are actually right about this one. They will be facing a lot of men-at-arms. This is a hard read from Team Beasty, anticipating owned blades. This is a tech that's relatively cheap for the standards of this game mode, and it's something that's going to buff both your Lancers and Men-at-Arms, so it's one of the best techs as Delhi to pick up. So I feel like here the mindset for Beasty was like, hey, this is one of their most powerful technologies, they will want to play into it, so I will try to counter-pick them with crossbows. It's a full melee comp though, Musafari Warriors closing distance as well. Crossbows need to start focusing the men-at-arms. This is going to be dicey for Beasty and MarineLord if they get pushed all the way back over here, although they could find this little choke point very useful. Crossbows slowly disappearing though. Con buff helping out quite a bit. Musafari Warriors still being focused down by the archers, but you feel like this double melee composition is causing at least a bit of an issue over here for Team Beasty. And this is why I said Musafari Warriors, supported by men-at-arms, are no joke. It's just going to flood you, and it's going to make it very difficult to focus fire targets. And it's just going to overwhelm you before you can pick those guys off one by one. Still, looks like sufficient amount of crossbows are kept alive to ensure that the men-at-arms can be focused down. This is a big thing here for Beasty. Keeping these 3 crossbows alive is what he needs to deal with the men-at-arms, and what he needs to put up a point on the board. It's the first point on the board for Team Beasty, as we will have, in a matter of seconds, the next unit composition showcased. LoueMT and LoueMetal have spent a bunch of their food. I think they're imping. This is the time I think they committed to Imperial. You saw them not committing to a single unit, yet their resources just halved, Beasties and MarineLords. And yeah, they're just getting some techs in for the sofas. A single Mangonel will be popped out there for LoueMT. He's also grabbing quite a few technologies. I think he's grabbing elephants, right? No, he's grabbing horsemen. They do not want to go for war elephants. Now, war elephants don't fare well in these matchups from what I've seen, but you never know. We've seen some crazy things from LoueMT and LoueMetal. This should be an easy cleanup for Team Beasty and MarineLord, but they now will be facing an opponent that has an age advantage over them in the next round. Mangonel shot was beautiful, but it's not going to amount too much. It's a cleanup, and the score is now dead even. Indeed, Imperial Age is in. Let's take a look if Beast and MarineLord is aging. Basically, you can see them spending half of their resources on aging, and that's exactly what they're doing. Difference is that LoueMT and LoueMetal committed half of their resources in the previous round and not this one, so they're up in Imperial already, and they had the full 4,200 food to spend on these units. It's going to be Sofas, hand cannoneers. Sofas are tanky. Hand cannoneers are kind of glass cannon type though. They don't survive very long, and I heard MarineLord say that he's done with hand cannoneers. So he's not a believer in hand cannoneers. I am not a believer either. Remains to be seen what LoueMT can do with them. It's not going to be visible in this round because Beast and MarineLord will just step back from it. Means that LoueMT and CSO will get the 3rd point on the board, but Beast and MarineLord will likely have the tech advantage going into the next round. Round number 6 coming up here. Flaming arrows now from LoueMT. He's going heavy on the archers, very heavy on the archers. On the other side, archers coming in from MarineLord, but those will have composite bows. They will have the camel support aura as well. So MarineLord will have the upper hand in that regard. And it's going to be Musafari Warriors. Those will deal well with the spears. And there's going to be a Mangonel too. A lot will come down to how much MarineLord and Beasty can dodge those Mangonel shots. But with the spears being the unit of choice for Beasty, I feel like this composition is slightly better for LoueMT and LoueMetal. Round number 6 underway. They do have camel support, and they will have the con buff as well. That's a big thing on the side of Beasty's team. They will have the con buff arrow as well as the coral tie aura for healing. And you see Beasty's team is spreading out here, trying to avoid the shots from those Mangonels. Musafari Warriors will commit now. Big melee coming up in the middle, but Musafari Warriors disappear in the blink of an eye. the Mangonel shot was baited out at the beginning, and by the time the second shot came in, the Musafati warriors were no more. Beautiful move here from Beasty and MarineLord, baiting out the first Mangonel shot and then committing as the Mangonel was reloading. Still, Mangonel is a factor, landing a beautiful hit on the archers, but that's where the Kurultai heal aura comes into play. Numbers are now looking a lot better for Team Beasty, and it looks like they will clean this up. Spearman will get rid of the Mangonel, and Team Beasty will make it once again an even scoreline. They will put the third point on the board, and it's even Steven now once again. Round number 7 over here. Don't forget, Beast and MarineLord have the lead by 1 game. So if they win this game, they will be the champions of this tournament. If they lose out, we'll go to a decider game. They will go heavy on the archers with MarineLord's Abbasids once again. Beasty just Spearman once again, this time around mixing in some Springolds. Archers will be the unit of choice here for CSO with Poison Arrows, and it's going to be archers from LoueMT as well. Now, Poison Arrow archers on their own, they will struggle against enemy archers. It's just they have nothing special over them. But when you face a lot of spears like this, this should be a dominant comp for LoueMT and UiMetal. They are still facing all those buffs from the Camels, the Khan, the Kurultai aura, so there could be still some shenanigans to be played over here. But the Spearman should be a non-factor in this game. Spearman getting focused down. Good moves from MarineLord and Beasty, though, using those Spearmen as throwaway units. And I feel like they're doing a lot more damage to those archers than they are supposed to. Not a single archer has been killed so far from MarineLord, and I feel like this battle is looking really good now for MarineLord and Beasty. Those Spearmen have been too much of a distraction for LoueMT and CSO, and by the time they got rid of them, it was too late. I felt like full archers would just beat this because the Spearmen will die too quickly, but I guess I was wrong. Well, let's not forget that these archers have composite bows, the Kurultai attack aura, healing, and the firing rate as well coming from the Khan. So those archers were buffed to oblivion. I think that's probably a bigger factor than, you know, having the spears or not having the spears. Still, we have seen this becoming the recipe of success for Team Beast and MarineLord, using that Khan buff aura. And they've been very successful ever since they started using that. Now they're moving on to map point and match point as well. They are 1 round away from securing that champion title. And it looks like the answer coming in here from CSO will be mass Mangonels. 9 of them will be put out on the field with a single Culverin to try and deal with the anti-siege. Not a single piece of anti-siege utility coming in here from CSO or LoueMT, though. And I know I said this a couple of times before. I feel like this composition should be better for LoueMT and UiMetal. You should not be able to dodge this many Mangonel shots. Here come the Mangonels. That's a lot of mangoes lining up the shots. What can you do here if you're Beasty and MarineLord? You have a Mangonel on your own, though, that got sniped down by the Culverin. Still did a lot of damage to the archers. Mangonels, they need to get rid of the Spearmen, though. If the Spearmen can close the distance, it's all over. And I feel like those Mangonels couldn't get enough shots out in time. Now the Spearmen close the distance. So does MarineLord. They're jumping on top of those Mangonels. And it looks like MarineLord and Beasty will not let this slip out of their grasp. They will secure the final round over here, and they will secure their champion position with a 2-1 finish over LoueMT and CSO. They have been pushed down to the lower bracket by Wham and Puppy Paw, but they will climb their way back up. In fact, they did climb their way back up, and now with this final 2-0 finish, they are the champions of this arena tournament. Really, ever since they started using that Khan buff, I think they became very dominant. That Khan, you could argue if there was a nerf needed, because it's giving so much. It's giving, as I said, the Kurultai aura, which gives you healing. It gives you an attack rate bonus. It gives you the Khan's arrows as well, which in these micro battles is a huge thing. And then you support that with Abbasid archers, which already have great HP because of bootcamp. Great rate of fire because of composite bows. It's a composition that's so difficult to deal with, and it's not something that LoueMT or CSO could find an answer for. With that, this is the end of this tournament. Once again, huge shout out goes to Corvinus, formerly known as Salami, for putting this together, and his community for putting up the prize pool. I will put a link down in the description to his channel, and I think If a link for future tournament support is available, I will also include that as well, because from what I heard, he wants to do more of these, so he might be looking for some community support to help make these happen. If there is a link available for some sort of donation page, I will definitely link that in the description as well. Hopefully you've enjoyed this micro tournament. Let me know if this is interesting to you. Let me know if you want to see more of this, or this is not something that you're interested in. I'm definitely open to feedback, as this was the first time I've been casting such games. I also appreciate if you like the video, if you subscribe to the channel. Those metrics do help me a lot, making sure that I can keep the channel going, making sure that I do get additional opportunities which keep me moving forward. Those things help me a lot. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.